Kevin Durant, who is bringing his talents here to the desert after a blockbuster trade with Brooklyn. KD got exactly what he wanted. A rocket ship to the Suns, where he teams up with Booker and Ayton and CP3 and looks very much like a title contender. But here's the reality. There are a lot of contenders in the Western Conference. After the trade deadline, the Suns are now the favorites to reach the finals, leaping over several teams in the process. Worth reminding you, Phoenix has reached the finals 3 times in franchise history, including 2 seasons ago when they lost in 6 to Giannis and the Bucks. So the question is simple. The answer may be not so simple. Stephen A., are the Phoenix Suns now the team to beat in the Western Conference?
I believe they are. I'm not going to go as far as to say the entire NBA, but in the Western Conference, as much as I love the Denver Nuggets, and I love them a lot, the fact of the matter is something very, very simple. Kevin Durant is a superstar. Devin Booker is a superstar. Chris Paul is a point guard. And DeAndre Ayton is no slouch. There is no way on earth that you can have these 4 players in a starting lineup together and literally state that somebody else in that Western Conference should be the favorites over them. That is ridiculous. The Phoenix Suns right now stand as the favorites to represent the West in the NBA Finals.
Remember, 2 years ago, the Suns swept the Denver Nuggets. Now, Jamal Murray was injured and out. I don't think Kevin Porter Jr. played in that series. Michael Porter Jr. played in that series either. But Joker was there, and they swept them out. Now, the team you got to look at, what are we going to think in 3 weeks and 6 weeks of the Golden State Warriors? How far are they going to come back to the form that we're accustomed to? All right, we got a lot we don't know about the Dallas Mavericks. And I think that Memphis is just in an emotional place where they're like 5-year-olds. I don't think the Memphis Grizzlies, who I've been saying all along, it's going to be Memphis, Memphis, Memphis. No, it's not. Because Memphis isn't emotionally mature enough to navigate what you have to navigate to get to the NBA Finals. So, yes, the Phoenix Suns right now, Phoenix and Denver, to me, look like the class of the West.
Well, let me ask the man who played over a decade in the league. Do you need to see it? Is there any way, do you need to see Durant with this team before you believe it'll be as good as everyone thinks it's going to be?
I've seen enough. Yeah. All they got to do is wake up in the morning, like Stephen A. said. They got a great coach in Monty Williams. The Suns just won the West 2 years ago. Now you add Kevin Durant to go with the players that Stephen A. mentioned. And I want to acknowledge the improvement of DeAndre Ayton. Of course, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are going to be the headlines, and rightfully so. But the actual story here is the improvement of DeAndre Ayton, Greeny. 19 points, 10 boards, shooting 60% from the floor. The last 2 seasons in the league, he's top 10 overall in jump shots made. So now all of a sudden you got 3 guys who master the mid-range, CP, Book, and KD, to go with Ayton. The Phoenix Suns are the team.
And keep this in mind, the Suns were the #1 seed last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they're adding Kevin Durant to that. I mean, there's some similarities. I mean, they had not won a championship when KD joined like he did with Golden State. But they were the #1 seed last year. Flame out in the playoffs, no question. But what, the only team that won more than 60 games last year?
Yes.
Phoenix Suns in the regular season.
That's right.
And they're adding KD to that.
Luka took them out in a Game 7 last year in their own building. So now let's look at the league in general. Coming into the trade deadline, the Suns were not among the favorites to win the championship. That has all changed, as we mentioned. They actually now, if you include the East, have the second shortest odds to lift the trophy, behind only the Celtics. We told you they've been in the finals 3 times. They've never won the championship. They had the time 2 years ago. They had Sir Charles, took them here once upon a time, and they lost to the Celtics in a legendary series in the 70s. So, Stephen A., I circle it back to you. You said it on our call this afternoon. Sometimes styles make fights. Which team in the East is best suited to knock off the Suns should they meet in the championship?
I think the team best suited to knock off the Suns would be the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, obviously, I'm not summarily dismissing the Boston Celtics, but I will say this to you. When you consider Giannis Antetokounmpo and the kind of matchup nightmare he creates, because he's a locomotive coming downhill at you on most occasions. You see the elevation of a Brook Lopez. You see what Middleton can do when he's in a lineup and based on their history and their cohesiveness. And Drew Holiday, he was a neutralizer, guarding Booker, guarding CP3 when they met in the finals a couple of years ago. They're accustomed to playing with one another. They've won 9 straight. They've been balling. They're coming on strong. They seem to have paced themselves for the stretch run. Their size, their potential defensive prowess, along with the closer that is Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think that could be problematic for the Phoenix Suns, who sacrificed some depth in losing both Mikal Bridges
they got time for
and
that.
obviously Cameron Johnson.
If this new owner is aggressive enough to go after Kevin Durant like that, they're going to be busy in the buyout market. They will have depth. There'll be all kinds of players that provide them depth. I know it's only 25 games so to get it together, Stephen A. And I'm not about to counter anything he said about Milwaukee, but I'm going to say Boston. Because they got two closers. They got Tatum and Brown. They got depth. They got the guard play, which Jalen talked about so eloquently earlier. And they've got the heartache. They've got the incentive. They got that bad taste in their mouth for losing on their home court last year. I think it's the Celtics who are going to wind up representing.
They would be the last two runners up, if you will, right? The Suns lost the final the year before in the Celtics last year. How about it, Jay?
And imagine if it's the Suns and the Celtics, and you get a chance to see that guard play that I mentioned earlier. And I think that's going to be the difference. That's why I would take the Boston Celtics. But I like what you said about Giannis as well. Remember the horrific injury that he had? We didn't even know he was going to play game
against
one.
Atlanta.
Absolutely. Yeah. He came back and he was dominant in the finals. How about Jay Crowder? If the Bucks and the Suns make it to the finals, he get a chance to play against the team that he sat out with this year.
And very quickly, you know how I love trivia questions. Okay. So we don't know how many points Kevin Durant will score in his debut in Phoenix. We don't even know yet exactly when he will make it. But do you know who has the record for most points in a team debut after changing teams mid-season? The most in NBA history.
I think it's Jalen Rose.
He got it right. It's Jalen Rose is the correct answer.
Here we go. Take a bow.
If I remember correctly.
Take a bow.
I think so. I think he had, what is it, like 37?
Take a bow. Take a bow.
In his Bulls debut in 2002.
I thought it was 37.
How about that? How about that, Jalen? He has the record.
Your game got to travel. You know what I'm saying?
Let's tell everyone what Stephen A. is really worried about.
He's worried about having to come to the desert. I got to introduce you to the notion of coyotes. Stephen R., the greatest phone call I'll ever get in my life is from putting him in a wonderful hotel, 5-star hotel in the desert. He calls and starts whining about coyotes. I said, you haven't even seen a javelina yet, which is like a razorback. You and Green.
That it right there?
I'll be damned if I want to go there, and I'm certainly not rooting for it. And as I told Coach Monty Williams, it's exactly because of those coyotes. I want nothing to do with them.
Good job, y'all.
Stephen A., there are 200,000 coyotes in Arizona.
Yeah.
And when they run, they reach a speed of 43 miles per hour.
I got a couple for him in the backyard. We're going to get some
And
food.
some javelinas.
Get some
Let me tell y'all what happened. You know what I'm saying? Kevin Durant did this to me on purpose. He likes getting on my damn nerves. He did this to me on purpose. There's various teams he could have gone to or whatever, but you know, he knows
Right here.
I have no desire to be out here with the Coyotes.
And you're going to be back.
Yeah, a lot.
You're going to be back all spring for the Western Conference Finals
Yes.
and the NBA Finals.
Yes.
So you may as well get used. I don't want to hear that South Beach nonsense. We got sun right here.
Valley of the Sun,
Valley of the Sun.
Valley
Right
of the Sun, baby.
Come on now.
Yes.
There you go.
I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with this. And was it javelinas? Is that what they call it? I heard they look like wild pigs.
Razorbacks.
See, this is a
They're
problem.
blind.
This is a problem, man.
They can't
This is
smell
a
you.
problem.
They can't get you.
I'm going to be confined to my hotel room if I end up out here.
I put one in your room at my house. I got one in your room.
I'm not coming. I'm not coming, man.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.